Breaking news here, an intelligence source telling Fox News that al-Qaeda's most dangerous affiliate is expanding yet again. Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, that's in Yemen now, taking advantage of the chaos in that country to solidify its control and provide guidance to another terror group called al-Shabaab. That's in Somalia. They've claimed responsibility for last week's attack on the Christians at a Kenyan university, 148 students dead there. Now al-Shabaab terrorists are learning new skills and getting more fighters and more weapons, and a top Democrat is calling out the Obama administration for the resurgence of al-Qaeda there.
Just as we feared in the chaos between this fight with the Houthis and now the Saudi intervention, al-Qaeda has had a resurgence. They've taken over the fifth largest town in Yemen, sprung al-Qaeda operatives from prison, a couple hundred people. So that chaos is providing just the kind of fertile ground and environment for AQAP to grow again.
Well, my next guest warned us about this. Katie McFarland, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense in the Reagan administration, now a Fox News national security analyst. Is Schiff normally critical of this administration?
No, he's a Democrat. He's from California. He's not normally President Obama's biggest cheerleader. So for him to come out and say, look, pay attention to this. This is a problem. This is getting to be a bigger problem. Then we really should pay attention to this. I mean, I look at Yemen, and who cares where Yemen? You know, we don't even, most people can't find Yemen on a map. But go find it on a map. Why? Because it's right next to Saudi Arabia. That's where a lot of the world's exported oil comes from. It's also right across, and it controls a strait called the Strait of Mandab, through which the Suez Canal goes into the Red Sea, goes into that strait. If you've got al-Qaeda or ISIS or bad guys on either side of that strait, on the Somali side and on the Yemen side, you could choke off 10% of the world's trade. Wow. That's all the trade that goes from Europe
that's a great point,
to Asia.
Josh Earnest has said repeatedly the goal is to make Yemen a safe haven, so that it cannot be a safe haven. Well, that's pretty much... that gig is up for now.
That's totally up for now. There's a three-part civil war, three-way civil war in Yemen. And it's al-Qaeda, which nobody's been paying attention to, right? We thought we'd had al-Qaeda whooped in Yemen, but al-Qaeda's making a resurgence. There was a jailbreak last week, and a lot of the senior al-Qaeda guys have now been released and are going back into the battlefield in Yemen. The second part of the civil war is the Iranian-led Houthi forces that are taking over large parts of the country. And the third part is a brand new joint Arab force, which is Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, others, which are trying to support the more moderate Sunnis. So three-part civil war that could spread not only to the region, but I think is what you're seeing in Iraq and Syria.
What happened to the comment about being on the run?
Yeah,
and al-Qaeda being decimated?
Well, it's about the same level of credibility as the comment that Yemen is our big success story. You know, the tragedy is North Africa, the Middle East, the Levant, East Africa is now aflame with sectarian violence. And it's radical Islam, various versions of radical Islam. And it's the beginning of, I think, a fight to the finish, a religious fight where both sides have a lot of Arab oil money backing them up or Persian, Iranian oil money backing them up. We lift the sanctions on Iran with this new Iran deal. They get more money to support their terrorist groups in the region. I think we're looking at the beginning of a very big war.
You can see it. You do.
Yeah, I do. A 30-year war that's between Shiites and Sunnis. It's between Persians and Arabs. It goes through the entire region, and it's where most of the world's exported oil comes from.
And where do we fit in on this?
Well, it's a big question. I mean, historically, we've always supported the moderate Arabs. Now we're supporting Iran. When we lift the sanctions on Iran with the Iran deal, a lot of things happen, but one thing that big happens is Iran, which is controlling a lot of the forces in the Middle East through their own military forces, through their own money. They now become flush with cash to support them even more. So the war that we thought might be winding down is only going to go on steroids.
One more point quickly. Michael Leiter, terrorism official here. Listen here.
Oh, it's absolutely a safe haven. It was a safe haven before, and now it's more than a safe haven. It's really wide open. And it's not just wide open for al-Qaeda, but it really is a new battlefield for sectarian tension in the region.
Now, he's underlying what's happening in Yemen, but what also al-Qaeda can do in Yemen now, they can export their terror. And we're seeing that flow into Africa now.
Well, not just to Africa, Bill, but to the United States. The al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, that's the successor of Osama bin Laden. That's the group which has launched attacks on the United States. That's a group which has very large ambitions. So not just launching attacks in Somalia and maybe potentially into Saudi Arabia, but potentially into the United States.
Quickly, do you think the president needs to get behind this Sunni force now and do it fast?
Do it fast. Give them. They don't want our boots on the ground. They want American military assistance, American aid, American intelligence. Give them what they need. Finally, for years we've been saying, we're the moderate Muslims. Why don't they stand up and fight? You now have them. They want to reform their religion, and they want to fight the bad guys. They should be our best friends.
Thank you, KT. Got to run. KT McFarland here in studio, 20 past.